pointing out that the CBO did not take into consideration phases 2 or 3. Some people might say that the White House has been criticizing the CBO for not taking into account phases 2 or 3 in their scoring of the first phase of this. How were they supposed to take into account something that doesn't yet exist?
Well, I think that's a question for the House to offer. There are constraints that are put on the CBO in terms of what they can consider. But I think that the point that we want to make is that, and it came up yesterday at the briefing, if members are going to base their vote off a score, they need to understand the totality and the comprehensive nature of the entire program. And so to base your score off of one piece of information is literally looking. Hold on, let me answer the question. I understand that, but what I'm saying is that the question that keeps being asked is to see all of the reports on this about how it's going to impact and not note. I mean, I don't recall too many packages that ran on the evening news last night or too many of the stories noting that it was one piece of a comprehensive package, noting that it was prong one of 3 prongs. So, respectfully, I think that when we've gone out here and tried to make sure that people understand the comprehensive nature of what's happening and why it has to happen, it wasn't by choice that we had to do this. There are certain ways that it had to be conducted because of how it was constructed in the first place in terms of how it gets repealed and replaced. The reconciliation piece of this, which is inside baseball Senate talk, may not make sense to a lot of people, but it's the way that we have to go, the process by which we have to achieve this because of the Senate rules, which is how it was constructed in the first place when Democrats enacted it in 2009. That being said, when we talk about this, again, you guys, when there's a report that comes out on the evening news or on cable news or in the paper, and it doesn't explain the comprehensive nature of this, and it just says, the CBO says this is the impact, full stop, it is incumbent upon us to make sure that people who are trying to understand what we're doing understand that there are 2 more pieces to come of this. And like anything else, it's like building a puzzle. If you only put a third of it on the table and said, hey, look, this puzzle is incomplete, we hid the other 2/3 pieces, is not explaining to people how the whole thing comes together. I think that is a very, very important piece of explaining how this whole thing is going to matter and impact the American people.
The other thing I'm curious about, too, is can this thing, the president called it a big, beautiful negotiation.
Yeah.
People like Jim Jordan say it's a big, beautiful dud. Is there a way to hammer this thing into shape where you can satisfy conservatives, or do you have to, as has been suggested by a number of people, rip it up and start all over again? Because Jim Jordan, even just this morning, was saying that the fundamental aspects of what was promised the American people by House members when they ran for election back in the fall, and by the president when he ran for election, is not in this bill.
Right. Well, respectfully, I would suggest that it's gone through 2 House committees that consisted of over 50 Republican members when you look at both committees with unanimous support. So I get that we can't.
Freedom Caucus member on either one of those.
Oh, okay. I don't know that that's actually true.
Well, that's what they said.
I understand that, but I'm going to use Major Garrett to fact check you.
No, that's just what they're saying. They're saying they didn't get a chance to
Or
put forward
Pinocchio's
amendments.
John
or
Roberts.
I did not say that.
Now, but my point is, I think that we've got tremendous support. The president, as I've stated, wants to work with them. There will be a manager's amendment, and I hope that ultimately, I'd love to have every member support this on both sides of the aisle. I think the president's principles and goals are going to benefit every American, and obviously the more support we get, the better. And as we continue to meet with members and talk to them and get their ideas, I think we're going to have a phenomenal outcome of this bill. There's a lot of ways that we continue to gather input and ideas, and the more that we can get that will achieve that goal, great. And so I hope that he continues to provide us with constructive ideas, and we look forward to getting as many men as possible.